Cabinet tours Bamar, their impressions coming up. Teachers to get a lump sum and insurance.
You realize a lot of housing was done in this period, right?
And more on that huge marijuana find in Grand Bahama. The Bahamas Tonight starts now.
Covering the islands of the Bahamas, ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight.
This portion of the news is brought to you by McDonald's. McDonald's, I'm loving it.
Good evening and welcome to The Bahamas Tonight, the National Report. I'm Kishla Adderley. Thanks for joining us. Topping the news tonight, the Christie Cabinet toured the Bamar project today, eyeing the thousands of job opportunities the multi-billion-dollar project could provide. But as Altavi's Munnings reports, the assessments also included concerns about the Bahamian to foreign ratio on labor.
Initial heads of agreement with Bamar in April 2005. Fast forward 7 years later, and the 2012 Christie government is expressing some concern on the project. That's Bamar President Don Robinson, who, along with Bamar executives, hosted the government to a luncheon Monday afternoon at the Sheraton Nassau Beach Resort to provide a progress report on construction. Now, the press wasn't allowed inside the room, but when it was over, Prime Minister Perry Christie spoke with reporters on some of the concerns he raised. One of them included the comparison of Bahamian to foreign labor.
Marketing, for example, a huge sum of money is to be expended, and therefore the first order of business is that we impress upon the developers the need for very close cooperation and collaboration, and that's important. Secondly, that with respect to the Bahamian component, how many Bahamians are employed, how many Bahamian contractors are employed. We are in a position now to say, as the governing party, we want to see a full implementation of all that we said should happen here.
We advised the government today that the Bahamas has created close to 1,700 job opportunities for Bahamians, and we currently have approximately 1,000 expatriate work permits. That we have 8 say that they would wish for Bahama to find additional ways to improve the number of Bahamians, and we hear them loud and clear.
Bahama Senior Vice President of Government and External Affairs Robert Sands led the tour of the site, where the cabinet learned more about the intricate details of the project by riding through the grounds to see exactly what's been taking place. Mr. Sands dubbed the tour a success.
We advised the government today that the superstructures and the topping off of all of the roofs of all these buildings will be completed by December 2013 and March 2014. So the actual physical buildings themselves will all be complete by the end of 2013.
This was a good meeting between the government and Bahama. We're going to look at the property now to see where they're at, and I'm hoping that both of us, in the same spirit that we began our discussions, will forge a very close relationship that will, I think, be for the greater benefit of the tourism product.
Bahama officials report that a third of the project has already been completed and developers have already spent over $500 million on the project. And Mr. Sands told reporters that the project is on budget and is on target for completion. That date is December 2014. I'm Altavi's Munnings, ZNS News.
Imagine waking up in the wee hours of the morning with a gun pointed at your head. Well, that was the harrowing experience of several families in eastern and western Providence, so much so that police are now issuing a warning. Police say most of the cases were reported in the east, many of them in the last month. And they say the trend seems to suggest the suspects are after cash and jewelry and usually strike between 2 and 6 a.m. Assistant Commissioner of Police Anthony Ferguson says investigators suspect that 2 men are carrying out those home invasions.
Over the last couple of weeks in the Eastern District, we have been receiving reports of house break-ins that occur in the early morning hours over the last, especially over the last, for the last month, which is June. There was a total of about 4 reports that we had received.
Now, police have beefed up their patrols in both the eastern and western divisions in particular and around the capital. They're also advising homeowners to ensure that they do their part to make their homes safe by using measures like security alarms and security bars. Police say neighborhood watches within these divisions, meantime, have also been alerting police on suspicious activity.
Currently, we, as a police force, have stepped up our patrols and our investigations into these matters in the eastern area. In the western area, have also received similar reports. However, in the western area, it's spanned over a period of 6 months, and we continue to look at these matters separately to determine whether or not any of them are connected or not. But what I wish to say is to encourage members of the public to provide the police with any information that they might have of persons who might be responsible for any of these incidents.
Have information which may assist police, you're asked to call them at their emergency numbers 911 or 919. You can also reach them at 502-9991 or Crime Stoppers at 328-TIPS. Hundreds of law enforcement officials joined with community building organizations during the so-called 4-point March of Solidarity Against Crime yesterday. Minister of National Security, the Honorable Dr. Bernard Nottage, used the opportunity to reinforce the government's resolve to reduce crime, as Cyan Thompson tells us in this report.
The march ended in a mini rally at the Stephen Dillett Primary School, where Minister of National Security, the Honorable Dr. Bernard Nottage, made it very clear that the government is working on all fronts to combat crime.
I want to assure you of the government's commitment to the eradication of illicit drugs and the reduction of crime to its absolute minimum. Through our public agencies, we have placed our full focus on addressing this problem, but we cannot do it by ourselves. I want to commend and thank our dedicated police force, our dedicated defense force, our dedicated employees at Her Majesty's Prison, our judiciary, our social service officers, and our teachers for the role that they are playing and the willingness that they have shown to cooperate with us in introducing our new strategies.
One of the elements used in the reduction of crime is Urban Renewal 2.0. Minister Nottage says the huge show of support at the march proves that all hands are on deck within the Bahamian community.
This marriage of the community and government is necessary and critical to success if we are going to break the back of crime in this country.
Dr. Nottage also told parents that they have a pivotal role to play in reducing crime.
If we would have parents who instill in them a sense of values that are immutable, like me, I had a mother who was a mother. And even today, after she's been dead since 1999, when I was already an old man, Mr. Davil, you know what I mean, eh? But even today, I wouldn't do anything that I know she would disapprove of.
4-Point March is becoming an annual event planned from the Office of the Ministry of National Security. Organizers plan to grow the march each year by adding more community groups. Cyan Thompson, ZNS News.
Along with their long-awaited summer vacation, there's more good news for teachers. How does a lump sum sound? Well, Education Minister Jerome Fitzgerald says that and more is included in the budget, which comes into effect July 1st.
Minister of Education, Science and Technology, the Honorable Jerome Fitzgerald, who made this announcement at the annual general meeting for the Bahamas Union of Teachers.
There's an allocation in the 2012-2013 budget for a lump sum payment as was promised to the teachers. Additionally, Provisions for the insurance coverage for teachers has been made in the Ministry of Finance budget for the scheme to take effect from the 1st of July 2012.
As you would imagine, this was welcome news for teachers. The minister pledged to forge a better working relationship with them. He also revealed plans for the implementation of a teacher's authority or national council as prescribed by its new industrial agreement within 18 months.
I understand that the leadership of the BUT has been discussing this matter with its Caribbean counterparts with a view to answering a regional and global call for the creation of higher standards in the teaching profession. This will no doubt lead towards more effective teaching and improved student achievement, a goal I'm certain we all share.
As for his 5-year plan, Minister Fitzgerald hopes to create a curriculum website, expand and make public preschools more available, and upgrade school facilities, all of which BUT President Belinda Wilson says union members have been agitating for.
I'm very pleased that the government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas has withheld the agreement that we would have signed prior to the election. Actually, I had no doubt about it. I felt confident that they would follow through. However, what really stood out to me today is when the minister spoke about the implementation of preschool units in some of the schools. The BUT and the government is going to work on the curriculum where we can have less subjects at the grade 1, 2, 3, the primary level.
The Honorable Cynthia Mother Pratt served as guest speaker at the opening of the AGM. Janae Noel Ferguson, ZNS News.
Well, President Wilson is pleased with the announcement by the Education Minister, but she says there's just one more thing.
Well, there's one thing that's outstanding, and we have hundreds of human resource matters, persons who have been teaching for years are still waiting for confirmation letters. So things of that nature. And so we're going to work diligently to make sure that we get these things resolved, and I'm very, very hopeful.
Now, the Minister of Education and the union have committed to meeting every month to iron out any issues that they may have. The union, Wilson says, also plans to change the perception that the public may have of public school teachers.
They think all we do is go after money. But when you talk about revising the curriculum and reviewing the career path and assisting the government with the implementation of preschools, and that's the work that we do that so many times is behind the scenes.
Well, still to come in the Bahamas tonight, we'll give you an update on the victims of that Abaco boating tragedy. Stay tuned.